the DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills.
Members of Congress are calling the influx of Chinese fentanyl an act of asymmetric war against the United States.
I've seen actually a lot more body carriers bringing drugs across.
I really fucking love drugs, so.
It isn't like what you see on TV, because here's how you think it's going to happen. You can't wake up your friend. You feel panic rising up. You call 911. Thankfully, paramedics rush in, hit them with Narcan, and 2 minutes later, your friend snaps awake, safe and sound. Right? Wrong. Because today, the miracle drug Narcan is failing us, way more often than you'd think. Why? Because it's not just fentanyl on the streets. There's a killer cocktail, a chemical reaper we can't reverse, and it's piling up bodies from coast to coast. And I'll bet you've never heard of it either. What is this deadly drug duo, and what are we supposed to do when Narcan is now Narcan't? But first, let's back up. At first, it's fentanyl, the world's deadliest drug. Just one dose will do you in. It's a powerful hit, too, 50 to 100 times stronger than medical morphine. Heroin feels like a weighted blanket. Fentanyl isn't so subtle, though. It's a plastic bag over your head, smothering every sense in your body, killing you while you just fade away.
I thought, this is my poor daughter. What happened to you? What happened to you?
Where are you?
Where are you? But I know she was always in there.
But how is fentanyl suddenly everywhere? And who's to blame? Because we love to point the finger to other countries. It's Mexico's fault. It's China's fault. But we conveniently ignore that we basically created this crisis on our own. American doctors overprescribed opioids like OxyContin for years, creating millions of addicts across the country. And when Oxy got harder to find, these addicts turned to the black market to get their fix. But why does fentanyl solve that problem? Well, a couple of reasons. First, dealers love fentanyl because a little goes a long way. Instead of smuggling huge loads of heroin from Colombia, you can get pure fentanyl from secret labs in China, 1 kilo brick at a time. But that small brick can kill 500,000 people. Because you only need a small dose, it's so easy for smugglers to get it into the country. Second, fentanyl's an easy drug to find. China, using cheap labor and low taxes, quickly became the center of this drug's delivery around the world. And even when China's biggest customer, the US, said it was restricting the drug, the country found another willing buyer: Mexico. Mexican cartels like Sinaloa and Jalisco legally buy up fentanyl from China so they can send it here. It's simple economics. America has the demand, and Mexican drug lords are happy to make billions selling us drugs that kill us faster than ever. And it is killing us. For Americans aged 18 to 45, fentanyl is the #1 cause of death. More than guns, more than car crashes, more than cancer, disease, or accident. Imagine losing cities like Palo Alto, Flagstaff, or Portland, Maine, every single year. That's how many Americans were losing to this drug war. In 2015, Narcan became widely available, a cure that saves people from this fatal fentanyl. You don't even need a prescription. Just shoot it up the nose of someone who's OD'd on fentanyl, and they're back up and running in no time. It's a literal lifesaver. I think we can all agree that fentanyl is tragic, but what if it was worse? Well, that's exactly what's happening. Users getting their fentanyl fix are being poisoned with a new drug, a drug they never knew they were taking. It's called xylazine, and it's ramping up the death count faster than we thought possible. The trouble is that it's not even meant for humans. Vets use xylazine when they need to sedate a horse or a cow. In other words, xylazine is an actual knockout. And now, this tranquilizer is on the streets. Let me give you a picture of how scary xylazine is for those on the front lines of the drug war. It looks exactly like other fentanyl overdose, so you can't tell by looking at someone if they've taken trank, as it's called on the streets. Even if you do a drug screen, you won't find it. It just doesn't show up unless you're specifically looking for this very obscure drug. It lowers your blood pressure, slows your breathing, and turns everything down. The heart can't pump blood. The lungs can't push oxygen through the body. And if you manage to survive the xylazine in your body, it could leave you permanently scarred. Wounds turn into open ulcers filled with bacteria that infect your blood. The damage is often irreversible, with amputation the only option. And it's not like users are to blame. Take Brooke Petter, for example. She didn't even know her dealer was lacing her hits with xylazine. Brooke got addicted to pain meds along the way with her whole family. Her partner, sister, and mother all died from ODs. In spite of that, several times a day, Brooke rolls back the gauze covering her arm to inject another dose of xylazine. But she has to wipe away the fleas and maggots first, because her arm is literally rotting off her body. She knows she's going to lose her arm because the trank already ate away the flesh from her leg until she lost it a year before. But she can't stop. And she's terrified of shooting up somewhere else on her body. No wonder we're losing the war on drugs. First responders and doctors can't spot it. They can't stop it. And nobody can save the addicted.
There may be long-term health effects that we don't yet know about that could be very severe and very harmful for patients.
But let's say that the paramedics knew that their patient had taken xylazine. Great, but there's not a lot they can do. Vets use specific recovery drugs when they're using xylazine on cattle, but there's no recovery drug for humans. And that miracle Narcan that every EMT has with them, well, it's not doing a damn thing.
But the xylazine came into effect, everybody just started with these wounds. And then people started finding out what it was, and the overdoses weren't reversible because xylazine isn't reversible with Narcan.
If you're like me, you've never heard of xylazine before. But this creeper cocktail is now killing 2.5 times more people than just a couple years ago. In cities like Philadelphia, it's as high as 1 in 3 overdoses. Addicts walk the streets like living zombies, and there's no screening, no symptoms, and no saving them.
Or Narcan, the antidote for opioids to reverse overdoses, people may not respond as quickly.
But why are medical staff helpless? What makes xylazine and fentanyl the perfect killer combo? Be warned, I'm about to get a little sciencey, but stay with me. Narcan is so good at its job because it's just like fentanyl, but in a good way. Your brain has all these receptors, kind of like parking spots. Fentanyl is like the loud sports car finding those parking spots, blaring the horn, playing Nickelback way too loud and causing havoc. Narcan looks just like fentanyl, so when it parks in those spots, it kicks out all those Camaros and Corvettes, letting the brain recover. And it happens fast, in like 2 minutes. But xylazine is a sedative, meaning it's not in the same part of the brain as fentanyl. The Narcan never finds it. I know that's a simple explanation, but it basically means that if you're on xylazine, that miracle Narcan is going to miss that deadly drug without a second look. But here's where it gets worse. Drug users aren't just shooting up on one or the other. It's both. Because even when Narcan does its job and kicks out the fentanyl from the brain, the patient is still sedated. In other words, the drug's working, but nothing is happening. They stop breathing, the powerful trank slowly killing them, while EMTs do everything they can with what they have. But the harsh reality is that paramedics and doctors just don't have the tools to stop this epidemic. Or so we thought. Even though it looks like it's not doing anything, Narcan is still our best weapon in this war. It buys your patient a few extra minutes of life, enough time to get to the hospital to undo the damage. Narcan reverses the impact of fentanyl, even if your patient doesn't wake up. But it's enough to give them a fighting chance. After Narcan, you'll still need to deal with the sedation. That means rescue breathing or even chest compressions if the heart is slowed too much. And if that's all you can do, it just might be enough to get them medical care in a hospital until the xylazine wears off. But we're just at the start of this battle. There are test strips and safe consumption tools, but you need to find them. And honestly, the best thing we can do right now is talk about it. Get the word out. Let everyone know the risks of xylazine, what it looks like, and how bad it's getting. Furthermore, you can take action if you're concerned about someone you love who's using substances. There is help. Encourage users to stay in shelters rather than on the street. You can find xylazine testing strips in clinics to avoid contaminated doses. There are even supervised sites where users can take substances under the supervision of trained medical staff. Share this video if you can. Pass it along, because knowledge is power. The power to save a life. There's a good chance that this crisis has affected you. It touches families, friends, and whole communities. If you need help or you're struggling, don't wait until it's too late. OnlineTherapy.com offers immediate professional support from the privacy of your home. It's affordable, accessible, and truly life-changing. Click the link in the description to take the first step in a journey of healing and restoration. There is a better future for you. Every life deserves a fighting chance.